Hello everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello, Scott.
Josh, my friend, we are only around 48-ish hours away from the next state of play, which has been a long time. It really feels weird because I looked up the last state of play and it was that strange one where they had the static crowd from like March, and that feels like it was 10 years ago. To be honest,
really does. A different lifetime, that. My God, I forgot they even did that thing.
I know. And it's like you sort of contrast like that weird effect. Back then when it was like Mark Cerny talking about the specifics of the RAM, I don't even know tech specs. He did a whole load of stuff and it was really boring. And everyone was like, what the hell are you doing? And then they rolled out the PS5 reveal and we all went, actually, it's cool, you've got it, it's fine. But the other thing though, alongside all this, is that we're as yet to know a price for the damn thing. And it's now out in like 4 months. And both companies, both Sony and Microsoft, or Xbox, the wing of Microsoft, have both said that they're waiting for the competition to go first. And as such, there's another state of play on this Thursday where they've got out ahead of it and literally said again that we're still not going to get a price. And I think that's worth talking about because at some point one of them needs to pull the trigger, and I know that they both are aware that the other company, that they can sort of play chicken, but if you you know, extrapolate that metaphor out, they're both in their Dodge Chargers speeding towards each other and they're just going to collide with us in the middle at this point. So I'm going to read a little quote out because they did tweet out when they said the state of play is coming with a bunch of bullet points trying to get on top of the, I guess it's going to try and do preemptive damage control because, you know, they've had more negative state of plays than positive ones in terms of what they've been showing. So they did put out some bullet points, and one of those bullet points was no big PS5 announcements, which is fine. But you still might assume that, you know, that was game-based and we might still be getting something on the release date or, you know, the price or whatever. If you go to their official website, they just spell it out. Just to be super clear, there will be no PlayStation Studios updates in Thursday's episode. There won't be any updates around hardware, business, pre-orders, or dates either. So that rules out price points. And it's like, how many more state of plays can you put in? I guess they could do like one a month or something, but are you as like weirdly tired of them not just going for it and announcing a price at this point?
Yes, mate. I'm intensely tired. I'm exhausted, you could say, because I'm not good. It's such a strange way to promote this show specifically, because like you said, they have got out there, and I do think it's a good idea for people not to get their hopes up looking for, you know, the PlayStation 5 breakdown or the PlayStation 5 price or new first-party games, God of War 2 or something. But at the same time, I feel like when it's come to the upcoming state of play, more of the bullet points and more of the information revealed has been kind of saying what's not going to be there rather than what is. Like, they are saying that, you know, they're going to show off third-party partnerships, you know, games that are coming to PlayStation 4 primarily, though some will be coming to PlayStation 5. And it's like, that's cool, but when you need to clarify in 10 bullet points, you know, that, and the majority of them are, you know, saying what not to expect, something's kind of gone wrong. And I feel like that is a kind of wider industry problem, that we're all just looking forward to information about the next gen, you know, kickoff. Essentially, we're all looking forward to new games. You know, Microsoft has had 2 big kind of blowouts so far, and both of them haven't been incredibly well received. You know, I think lukewarm to kind of excited has been the peak that people have got. You know, like, it's a very solid showing, but nothing that's blown people away. You know, Nintendo has been virtually silent. They've been doing like mini directs as well, which haven't been well received. But I just feel like that's partly on us expecting too much, but partly on these studios that keep hyping things, but also keep delaying things. And it's tough to kind of be in that position, obviously, because of everything that's going on. Things are in flux, but at the same time, you can't on the one hand be like, right, get ready for the next gen, it's coming in 4 months' time, but also don't think about how much you've got to save up or what the exact teardown of the console is or what games you've got to look forward to. It's a very strange dichotomy where on the one hand it's kind of like full steam ahead, business as usual, and on the other hand this is not business as usual. We're in this game between other companies and also in a game between ourselves that is getting increasingly muddled, especially like you said, when it comes to the price, because we're like we were saying, 4 months out and we have an inkling about what they're going to cost, you know, about $500 for the standard editions of both console apparently, but it should be locked in by now, or at least you'd think.
Well, I was going to say, do you think at this stage they would just be better if you talk about, like, in a wider sense, what these live streams bring to the industry? Because we're moving away from conferences and big showcases and everybody queuing up all their biggest things for an E3. Like, obviously we didn't get one this year, but E3's kind of been on the wane for a while anyway, and Nintendo sort of showed everyone how to do it in terms of just line up all your trailers, line up all your announcements, and just do it as a live stream. For me, I don't necessarily prefer that because I love the hype of E3, but I think that's obviously a more serviceable way to do things. With that in mind, do you think that they should start just outlining what's going to be in a certain stream? Because even now, when they're doing all of this is the first time they've really made a point of bullet pointing, going like, look lads, it's not going to be this, it's not going to be this, it's not going to be this. There's always one of us, and most likely it's me, going like, well, they would say that, wouldn't they? That's what they want us to think, because actually Horizon Forbidden West's going to be there, and then that obviously leads to disappointment and stuff. But I think that whole idea of like post E3 hype, or that like, oh, we've got one more announcement at the end, and everybody expecting that each one of these state of plays, each one of these live streams is going to be an E3 level thing. I kind of wonder how they massage that going forward. It's taken alongside the price thing, because like this could be their way. Like, I don't think at this point, because they've outlined what they're not going to do, they're going to be, and by the way, it's available for this on this stream. But there's almost like a lack of clarity in exactly what's going to be there and how they're going to roll. What are all important things that we all need to know?
Yeah, I think it doesn't help that they're always announced so soon to the actual event as well. You know what I mean? We get the announcement yesterday that we're getting a state of play on Thursday. You know what I mean? It's such a short turnaround that you spend like a whole month or maybe longer wondering when the next announcement's going to be. And it's not really helpful when you've got kind of like people teasing that, oh, Sony's going to have an event in August, Microsoft's going to show off the price in August, but we don't get those actual confirmations until a couple of days beforehand. You know what I mean? Like we said, we are kind of like starved for this information. And it is a strange way to kind of like roll it out without E3, because when E3 comes around, you can expect, there are 2 decades, maybe more, of built-in expectations of what to kind of, expect from these shows. You know to expect the major blowouts, you know to expect the one more things, you know to hope for price, release dates, stuff like that. Whereas these state of plays and, streams from the competitors as well, they're kind of in their infancy. They might not be unprecedented, but they're in their infancy. We're seeing these kind of companies struggle to come to terms with setting expectations, establishing what they are, and kind of in a world without E3 this year, kind of saying that, look, this isn't going to be that level, this is just going to be a nice little content drop, and you'll get something later on. And I think that's totally fine. The issue is that people in the know, people who are fans, know they're also playing this game of chicken with Microsoft, and we know that must be impacting events like this, because otherwise you would assume that we would have had a price, we would have seen more games, we would have had more concrete details about what we're actually buying into for the holiday season.
The thing is as well, because they've moved on so much, like, they've rolled the PS5 out, they've done the showcase, they've told you what games are coming, like, towards the end of the year and next year. It feels kind of strange being like, but also we've got these other things for to close out the PS4. Like, I nigh on forgot that Cyberpunk 2077 was still coming out. Like, I'm aware that Avengers is coming because the War Table's doing the rounds, and obviously the Spider-Man thing kicked the hell off last night. We're going to cover that in an upcoming podcast. But because they're going all steam ahead on the PS5 stuff, for this particular state of play, they're just sort of like, oh, we've also got these announcements for the PS4, because they're starting to pivot their marketing towards the next generation, and they're going all out with exclusivity deals and showing you footage from what's coming next year. It's almost like it's a welcome reprieve, being like, hey, by the way, here's some titles for the console you have right now, but at the same time, they're having to like kind of massage 2 potential demographics, or the migration of one demographic towards the next thing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, in a world where we'd had more than one PlayStation 5 major blowout, I think this would have been kind of more appreciated or more welcomed. But when people are just wanting PlayStation 5 news, it kind of feels like it's just something to get through, something to kind of have to not put up with, because I'm sure there's going to be some great stuff in there from the third parties and for PlayStation 4 players like us. But at the same time, like, there is a part of me that is looking forward to it, but also just thinking, I wish this was the PlayStation 5 one. I wish this was the price. I wish this was something else. Like, I feel like, apparently, according to Bloomberg, we're going to have that other PlayStation 5 reveal this month at some point. And I feel like even if you just swap them around, even if you just had the price and a few more PlayStation 5 reveals now, and then 2 weeks later, at the end of August, have this PlayStation 4 one, like that would have even been better, like from a fan perspective, or from like an optics perspective, because you get your big thing out the way, and then you get, there's this, extra thing on top, whereas this is kind of like having your dessert first and then having the main course like later on.
Which that villain in Iron Man 2 does, but I think there is a way to like, sort of make it work for everybody kind of thing. It's just that considering the year we've all had, I think a lot of people could do with knowing exactly when they're going to have to fork out what is going to be close to $500 anyway. And even if somehow by some miracle it's way cheaper than that, it's not going to get less than like $250,000. It's a lot of money, and if you're like whatever you've been through this year, like that's a lot of money to fork out and to budget for. And like I said, we're 4 months away, so for the sheer consumer side, it would be a good move on both their parts to clarify exactly how much these systems are going to cost for the good of the consumer base that they're targeting right now.
And I think it's easy to say it to someone like, it's going to be around this price point, so just start putting money away. But I feel like it's difficult to start saving for something, especially if you've not got much money anywhere, unless you have kind of a goal in mind or an exact price in mind. Like, you don't want to just be putting money away because it might be $500, because it might be coming November 20th or something. Once you have that release date, it's kind of like something to kind of work towards. At least that's how I treat kind of like pre-orders and saving for stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we've known that the PlayStation 5, due to rumors and stuff, would have been coming out at the end of this year for what, like a year and a half now, a year or so. All the rumors pointed towards this, and then obviously, it kicked off properly at the start of this year. But even then, I haven't been putting money away. That might sound stupid, but it is kind of, you want it to be this tangible thing to budget towards, and I feel like Sony's kind of really taking that for granted at the moment, and Microsoft as well. Neither of them have actually announced a price, and I just kind of feel like it's a strange oversight, and it's a kind of like a big assumption that everyone's just kind of going to be ready, especially like you said in the year we've had. And it still will sell like hotcakes no matter when they actually announce the price. But it just we've talked a lot about what's good for the consumer over the past few weeks, and I just feel like I don't know, it's just a kind of strange way to play it, and like everything that's happened so far in 2020 is unlike any other year that we've really had, both in the gaming industry and beyond.
Yeah, but like I said, both those Dodge Chargers continue to head towards each other, Fast and the Furious style. But yeah, it very much feels like they're playing chicken with each other. And like I said, we're the only ones in the middle just going like, well, one of you's going to have to swerve at some point. So we'll have to just wait and see. But let us know anything down in the comments below. What's your general sort of assumption on how much the console will cost? And do you think it's a mistake at this point to wait it out this long? Or could some good come of it, of both companies trying to call each other's bluff? For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
I will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.